Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we're talking to, believe it or not, one of my first guests, one of my first shows. I think it was almost 3 years ago. Actor Danny Tamberelli. Danny, could you hear me?
Hello. Hi. I am here.
Wow. I
Happy to be back.
you were the beginning of a ridiculous amount of nonsense. I have gone down the road with music icons, with celebrities, I mean, television stars, Shatner. I mean, just crazy. If you would have told me your show that 3 years later, you and I'd be talking about this and going, God, lives have changed, man.
Well, I do have a pretty large Rolodex, and I told everybody about your show.
You know, you and I now have something in common. I'm a comic
What's
book writer, and now you have a new book coming out. You have decided, rock and roll star, actor, now trying to get on that New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah, oh yes, very, very, very it's as long as I guess who's that the Colleen Hoover, I think. She's got to stop writing books and then people can get back on that New York
Yeah.
Times bestseller. I
That damn
think
man
she
Rice
holds
is keeping
I
all of
think
us
she
down.
Oh, I took myself out of watching the last 2 seasons of Handmaid's Tale. I couldn't do it. I
It's
got
tough for me. I
tired.
feel a little
I
skeevy.
got tired. I know I understand it. It felt like there was positive stuff ahead. I just wasn't ready to jump back into it, and then I just never did. And I decided, sorry, I couldn't take it anymore.
Do you watch more stuff off your TV or off your iPad?
More stuff off the TV, but I
Okay.
did cut the cord, so I mean, it's really just like a giant iPad I can't touch.
Yeah, I
My
don't.
children touch it all the time, and I ask them to stop, but what can I?
So you have it. You did a new book with your wife, which I think is
That's right.
amazing. I think
Yes,
it's
yes.
an amazing thing to be able to do.
It's certainly polarizing when I tell people that they're either way on board and they think it's cool, or they're like inquisitive and almost concerned for my well-being.
Create the creative process is tough with two people. Now you put the dynamic of a married couple in. I mean, you guys have to be, how can I say it, really good with each other to be able to
Well,
do that.
I agree, and the fact that it happened is other people were making sourdough starters with their partner during the pandemic, and we decided to write a book. So that's our first book. It was called The First Date Prophecy, and it's loosely based on our meet cute because we met on Tinder, and she knew who I was, and creepily enough, deleted Tinder because she swiped the other way on me and then realized who she missed the opportunity to meet and deleted Tinder and then restarted it and swiped through until she found me again. And then we matched,
So she
which
got
is
off the first time. She goes, "God, I screwed up. I got to create a
yeah,
new identity."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Or just like delete. Well, think of that's like she decided to cut all ties with any of the other previous people that she had been speaking to because she
He's
got a
the
tweaky
one.
account.
He's the
Yeah,
one.
I guess she didn't tell me until a few months into dating. So I think she just wrote me in, and here we
Wow.
are.
See,
Two books down and two
oh,
children. we
hey,
made
it
a
worked out
lot.
for her, you know?
Me too. Me
See,
too.
believe it or not, I actually met my girlfriend that way after I got out of my long-term relationship. I was married for 25 years and I didn't want to get into another one. And Facebook, I got messaged on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook about it. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like going, oh, maybe. And I didn't realize it, but I thought she was just a regular friend, one of my closest 4,800 friends. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
And I went on a date, we're talking, and it was like in the second week, she goes, I used to work for your company. Really? I said, did we ever meet? And she goes, one time in the elevator, and you were kind of a jerk. I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's not good.
No.
She goes,
So,
I asked you a weird
I,
question, and you just kind of looked at me funny, which is normally what I would do. I'd go, what?
sure, sure.
So when did she
No,
come clean?
she just wanted to make sure that you were, if she felt slighted in any way in that elevator, that she was definitely getting some dinner out of you.
Yeah, yeah, she actually said, she goes, "Oh, so you run?" Because I guess somebody told her I had run some Disney races, and I was like, "What?" And the elevator opened up. I go, "Well, it's good seeing you." I walked off, and I didn't know any. The company was big. I didn't know people. But when does she? The question I'm wondering is this: when she comes clean, how does it happen? Just over dinner? Oh, hey, let me. I know we have the story about how we met, but
um, I believe the way it came up uh, was because she had told her friends, and then as friends were talking, it came out, and it was like, oh yeah, I was gonna I was gonna tell you, but here it's true.
see, the only way
Um,
you could come clean with that is if everybody's drinking. You're like,
yeah.
"What? Oh, well, I guess that's cool."
And I was in over my head. No, you know what?
Yeah,
I thought that was all right. I was okay with that. It didn't feel, we had already been dating for a few months, so it felt, well, I guess this is just the story of how we met, you know. And it's okay. She told me that the line that I gave her on Tinder seemed like a cut and paste, and that I had probably done it to other ladies, and it's true. It's true. But it was also it's a good question about if I walked into a psychic and if I barge into a psychic and they didn't seem surprised to see me, or they seem surprised to see me, I would just say nothing and walk away. Like, what
yeah.
would you do? Basically saying that if the psychic didn't know I was coming in, then
Oh,
she's not
she's
a real
terrible.
psychic.
She's always
Right. It's
terrible.
terrible.
I always when I see these psychic plays, they're always in really bad neighborhoods, and I'm thinking to myself, you would think they would make better investments, but just a thought. They go, "We never use our power for money." Then why are you taking
Right.
mine? You know?
So why don't we use our powers for us?
Yeah.
No, we can't see what we can only see other people. I'm like, well, then you better talk to another person like you and ask them what your life is like, because yeah, this place is in shambles.
You guys need a
I'm like,
support group. I mean, yeah.
I think Kate's retort was something about that when she was like in high school, she went to a psychic and all she could remember was that she had like Cheeto dust on her fingers because she was eating chips while she was giving the reading.
Yeah, I went to a psychic once, and the psychic was like, she goes, "Do you wanna know when you're gonna die?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, knock me out." And she goes, "89." Now, the sad thing is I don't remember anything this psychic said other than the 89,
Except for
and I'm not
that.
fond of that. I go, "Wait," and as I get closer to it, I'm going, "Well, how many years?" And I'm counting down. I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't like that there's an actual clock.
I don't like this, but then
Well,
again, I know, oh, better pick it up. Um,
your softball team number is 89. I get it.
yeah, no.
Wearing it
We
with pride.
It's also funny, Danny. I didn't realize you and I are comic book collectors.
I'm a collector of my father's comics that he kept. And
I'm a keeper
I
of
was a
comics.
I'm a keeper of comics, and I was a comic collector in the mid 90s when you thought that if you were getting big in on a new comic book company like Image, and
Ooh,
you got all their number ones,
oh
that
yeah.
you were saving something for your children down the line. Well, that was a
Well,
mistake.
Spawn, Savage Dragon, Young
Yeah,
Blood,
yeah, yeah.
all
All
of
of that.
those. Wow.
Kindred, all that stuff. I
Oh,
was
Prophet.
very
I mean,
right.
oof, God.
See, I mean, they were cool. And at that point, I was like 12 and 13, and was really into that hyper realistic style, and thought that was just so cool, and
The
Seth MacFarlane was
covers
just
were great.
so
I mean, the
amazing.
covers, and you know what? I wish they would go back to that.
Yeah,
Marvel
they
and
were cool.
DC never seemed to go, "Hey, you know what? It'd be cool to see Batman like this." Just never did it. I don't know why.
I know. Yeah, no, I know. It's kind of fun. It's kind of funny. I guess they're like, you have superheroes like Shadowhawk, and they need to be.
Yeah.
I think part of the appeal too, that like the grittiness and hyper realism of those comics. I think the narrative of those comics really helped in that. And who knows if Marvel and DC would have. I mean, DC. Look, DC had Lobo. I get it, but it
Yeah.
was still not. And that was like that was probably as dirty
The
as
edgiest
DC.
edgiest character,
Yeah,
and
for
Guy Gardner
sure.
maybe, but that
Yes,
was it.
yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
it's strange because back then their books were all there was a realism to them, that DC didn't have. Marvel was touching on it, but there it was feel more realistic. And I remember, they were all vigilantes, and you actually do own. You told me earlier the Punisher 129,
oh yeah,
this
one twenty
Amazing
nine. Yeah,
Spider-Man
Amazing
129.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Yeah. First appearance of Punisher. Yes.
yeah, that's,
Um,
and you're going, that's gonna pay the rent someday.
it's one day that's gonna be 1 month's of rent. Problem is, while bagged and boarded, not 100%. They all came from so my dad has this giant suitcase that came from my great great grandfather when he came over from Italy to New York and was on the ship and went through Ellis Island. It's this ginormous, big, huge chest. And it's held his comics for years and years. And forget it was like 6 years ago, there was a flood in my parents' basement. And he always had them up on bricks, two bricks on either side to like just keep the box up just in
So
case.
no water
And
damage. I
and
get it.
right for no water damage, exactly. But they were still in the basement, so I'm sure moisture in the air and whatever. I told my dad I'll take them, even though I have a 3 bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. I'll take these comics and I'll put them somewhere where they won't, be stuck in a basement.
But it's carrying them damn boxes everywhere you go is the problem. Those things,
Um,
yeah, those things are
yes.
heavy. You
I
know.
mean, I'm thinking about how. I mean, I think he stuffed his children in that box. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
you can't
I'm
move.
not
You're like
sure.
going. Your wife ever goes. We're thinking a new home. We can't move.
I mean,
I'm not carrying these things out of here.
it's every bit of 5 feet wide and 3 feet tall and maybe 3 feet deep. Like it's it's a coffin. And how do they get it on the boat? And how do they take it to Ellis Island and then
No,
decide they're going to move to New Jersey with it?
it's a funny life. I think about all these things that I got to talk to the actress who plays Blair from Facts of Life, and
Oh yeah.
she was, and a lot of actors who were younger actors, and you know they somehow get on reality shows, reality television shows, and she was actually a runner-up on Survivor, and I was like, I was, and that was some
Wow.
badass stuff. I was like, you were the runner-up on Survivor, and the worst thing is nobody knew who she was when she was on the show.
Were they just that much younger?
I guess so. I mean, how
That's
many times do people, I'm sure your agent goes, hey, Danny, I got this idea. How do you feel about, Fear Factor? How do you feel about eating stuff? I mean, have you ever had to go, yeah, I'm not doing that.
to well, one thing I don't think ever happened. I guess it must have been a pilot or something, and it was like a reconnecting with somebody that you used to know that you can't seem to get a hold of. Which I guess in the I know I guess I know why the internet ruined that TV
Yeah.
show. um, but they wanted me or they inquired if I wanted to do The Biggest Loser, which I wouldn't say I'm
I don't
like
like that for two
I wouldn't
reasons.
say that I'm like the biggest person in the world, and that's okay. And if it was if I felt like I was struggling and I needed to do that, I would have, but I politely declined, is what I'm saying.
It's always so weird because I can say the T word. Um, I had a friend of mine who's an actor, and he got on The Apprentice, and he had this whole idea of how it was going to work out. And I told him, I said, no, no, you're not going to have long speeches. You just need a good line here or there. So I wrote
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
20 or 30 for him, and
You wrote one
I
liners
wrote them.
for him?
I wrote them all for him. And he was like, Jeff, I'm never going to use these. Well, he wound up making it through the ninth week. And he didn't tell me, but I was at a convention with him, and he was going, "You're not going to believe it. I was one of the last people on the show." And
Oh
he goes, "I can't talk about it." He goes, "But those lines came in perfect because
oh my
even when I was
goodness.
supposed to lose, because I gave them what they wanted, They took me into the next week.
If do you like watch those kinds of shows? Or you
I
does
try to
that does that
unless I know the actor, unless I'm friends with them, you know, the problem is at the end of all these reality shows, they show the 70 scriptwriters.
No, I know.
Maybe I'm the only one who
Sure.
notices that the concept of reality. What do
They
you
do
need
run it very
scriptwriters?
quickly. They run it very fast.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't someone that watched mindless television as much, and uh, I have, as of recently, to shut my brain off at the end of the day from having two children and
Oh
and
yeah.
daddy daycare. I feel like I need like mindless sort of stuff. So we've been watching this reality show called Traders with that's on
Yep.
it's on Peacock, I think.
And the people don't want to trade.
it's
At the end of it,
it's
they go, I'm not going to do it.
Whoa, well, at the end, I mean, the end of the first season was they're both, but they take people from reality shows, different ones like gamer shows or like
Yeah.
Real Housewives or Below Deck or all that stuff, and they just put them together and they're like, okay, we're gonna play these games, and I don't know, I found it
Was that
fascinating. It's
like
super
Swap
fun.
Wife? We
I
remember
would
that?
do that. What I'm saying is, I would do that if anybody's producer from Traders. I would be interested. That would be what I would be interested in doing.
Oh, I I always the one show I used to love was Big Brother because I could actually compete on that show.
Oh, see, well, those people tend to do really well on that show, Traders, because they're good at dealing. Did that guy Daniel? You remember that
Yeah.
dude? He was like a skinny guy. He like he raises a lot of chaos in the season that he's in, and
You know,
he's
they
and
love
he
that
he
guy.
talks about being on Big Brother a lot and
Yeah.
how it's helping him.
Yeah.
So you should go on it too. Hey, maybe we could do it
They
together.
would never take me. They would they go, we already got the old slob, you know, we don't need you. Um
They had the former Speaker of Parliament.
yeah, well, that's I don't know if I have that clout. I'm not quite sure if
Okay.
that works. I mean, I laugh. The reason I love that show was because you don't have to be an athlete. You just have to have the ability to hang out and BS for hours on end. I've got that skill. What do you got? What are you eating? I eat. I wake up. I talk nonsense all day. Oh, I'm perfect.
200 episodes later.
Yeah, they named the show after me. Jeff Kaufman's big brother. Yeah, that's what it did. You know, I think it's you know a a lot of my friends do have done what you've done. They've been on these big shows, and then they go, okay, now we're going to do this, and this, and we get to travel around the world. We get to go to conventions and on every place on the planet. You know, a lot of people don't realize these conventions aren't only for you to make money, but you also get to see friends you haven't seen in years.
Oh,
And
100%.
you know, do you ever get excited? Oh my God, he's gonna be at the show. She's gonna be at the show. We
Of
get to hang
course,
out.
of course, of course. I mean, that's, you know, that's my, no, to be frank, that is my favorite part, is running into people I haven't seen in a long time, because otherwise, as someone who has done plenty of work in Los Angeles and lived there for years, but I currently live in Brooklyn, and, I don't see everybody all the time. So it's nice to have those moments, and it's like a weekend, and you do your business for a little bit, and then we all go out and have dinner and like reminisce and hang out. Like I just did one in Minnesota, and it was like a Mighty Ducks situation and also a Sandlot thing, and I'd never met any of the Sandlot kids. So kids, they're all
Well,
in
we
their
say it
40s.
now.
They're all
Yeah.
in their 40s as well. um but it was awesome to meet. I love that movie, and I quoted that movie many times in my life over. And to hang out with them and have a weekend where we just kind of like chilled and met and realized that we're all, kind of on the same wavelength, and you have the Mighty Ducks and the Sandlot kids all hanging out together, which is, kind of a funny thing. We're sitting at the hotel bar and somebody walks in and is like, "What? Did I arrive?
What bizarre world have I
Yeah,
walked into?
yeah,
Yeah.
like really, really. Yeah, I know you definitely make people's heads turn. You're like, there's little Pete and Smalls?
Yeah. What's the line from that one? It happens all the time.
You're
This
killing me,
"You're
Smalls.
killing me, Smalls." I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many
Sorry,
people walk
Tom.
up to
I'm
me and
sorry
say
that
that. Oh,
I think Tom I don't think Tom Geary like, like I don't I'm sure that can get under his skin. But I'll say it anyway. I don't It's fine with me.
what was
If
that?
I put the amount of times people have asked me if I really had the petunia tattoo over the years, which is, I get it. We can all get lost in the moment of television, but please, I was a 7-year-old child. There would be legal ramifications if we want. Hey, look, I'm spinning it back to the legal stuff.
Yeah. But who's gonna come after you? Who is technically gonna come after you over something like that?
What wasn't it? Oh, CPS, Child Protective Services. You're not protecting your child
Oh, well,
by
there you
giving
go.
them a tattoo, I would imagine.
Well, you know what'd be funny? I could
I'll
just
test it. How about I'll test it? I've got a 5-year-old at home, and
yeah, yeah.
I got a tattoo gun. I can get. I
Oh.
mean, I can get
Oh, no,
one.
no,
Why not?
you can order a temporary tat, and
Right.
I want you to know something, it would be a fine line between hate and love. You'd go, "You know what? This video went viral for some reason, and
Right.
Department of Children and Families is knocking on my door. What is this?"
Well, it's okay. You put really nice music underneath. You don't hear the buzz, and you just keep telling them it's a temporary tattoo that you keep applying every morning, but you can't see it off. Okay, because that'll ruin the mystique.
I
I know I think that would be my
yeah,
alibi.
I think as a joke, you get one, and in the middle of a panel, go, "Listen, I took one for the team," and people would go, "Oh my god, he's got it," and you go, "No, it's a kid. It's a temporary." Oh, here. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna make you money at cons. I'm gonna make you some money at
Uh,
conventions. All right.
no,
Order a bunch of
I
temporary tats
it's a that's a good idea.
and sell
Yeah.
them. Say, "I'll sign the temporary tat and with my
Mm.
signature on it," and I'll tell you what, $5.
All right. Well, I'll cut you in
Yeah,
10%.
yeah. My attorney wants his cut.
he was he was
Why are these so expensive?
you
Attorney's
know
fees.
I when I was a few years ago, I was playing in a group that had the drummer from the Headhunters and the real like hard hitting funk Herbie Hancock records, Mike Clark. And he was a guy that would, when he talked about money, he would always talk about a taste. And he was like, you go up to the band leader at the end of the night and he'd be like, all right, we did a good show. Can I get my taste? How about my taste?
Yeah, or juice money. Juice
Yeah,
money is also one of them.
juice money's good
I
too.
need some
Yeah.
juice money. Yeah,
I was a fan of just bread. Like I need the
yeah.
bread.
You don't want to have to explain it. You break down
Right,
like seven
exactly.
different analogies and go cash.
Right,
I want
right,
the
right,
cash.
right, right. And then the cashola,
Oh man.
the kaching. But just that's what a fun, like old, it feels like such an old timey, jazzy thing to say. Yeah, man, I just need to get my taste.
Yeah. What's funny is you mentioned the word kids, and I'm laughing because, I think anybody under a certain age to me now, I'll go, yeah, that's some kid. I'm going, oh, he's 26. Shut up.
I
I
know,
can't even tell
I
anymore.
know.
I'm going, how old is he? I'm going,
Right.
15.
Right. You see people from like either mid 20s to their 40s, and you can assume that they're the same age because they, at any given moment, you could look at someone and be like, I look like we're probably in the same year at
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. We're, and though you can insult somebody though, because they could be younger than you and you go, wow, you look old. And you can't get away with that. But I mean, it could be worse. Now, let me get back. I know we started this off. Your new book, when does it come out and where can I get
The,
it?
the Road Trip Rewind comes out on Tuesday, the 21st of May. So this Tuesday coming up. And you can get it wherever you like to get your books, and if you like local bookstores and they don't have it in stock, you can always ask them. They can pop in. You can pre-order it on Barnes and Noble right now. You can get it on Amazon right now. You can, wherever you like to shop, you can make it happen.
Digital, Kindle, everything?
Digital, Kindle, everything. An audiobook coming out June 18th with Mara Wilson and I doing it, which for the First Day Prophecy, she also did. So, which is kind of a fun little 90s thing too. And both books have like these, the first book less of more of like the background of the main protagonist, who is a brother, two brothers, and the one brother is they were both child actors and got famous, and one of them decided to go off to school and be more normal, and the other one stays in LA and becomes sort of like an A-list celebrity. And so the first book is about Rudy, who's the brother who kind of stepped away from the limelight, and the second book that's coming out now, The Road Trip Rewind, is Rocco's story and about him being an A-list celebrity and finding it, finally getting like a role that makes him feel like he is an actor and he's not just doing like franchise movies and stuff like that. It's kind of like a gritty indie film. And the person who wrote it actually knew Rocco when he was like a punk celebrity teenager, and he doesn't remember. And so that's sort of what sparks the, you know, the interest or disinterest in each other, in this enemies to lovers trope, which is I'm learning. See, I'm learning like these
See, look at you,
literary
look at you
things, right?
learning.
Look at that.
Amazing.
Uh, and the the publisher is calling it 10 Things I Hate About You meets Back to the Future, because something happens and they time travel back to the week that everything fell apart for their meeting back in time, which happens to be a week before Y2K. So it's all half the book takes place right in 99. So there's a lot of like nostalgic stuff talking about Bed Bath and Beyond, Bed Bath and Beyond, Bath and Body Works, uh, and
Toys R Us, yeah,
old
around
things
there.
that the old Tower Records that's
Oof.
no longer there,
Peaches,
and
yeah.
um, it's fun. It's fun to write stuff like this. I didn't realize that I was gonna enjoy doing it as much as I did, and having working with my wife has been really fun. Like it hasn't been it's not been the issue that some people who are look at me like I have five heads, like saying, "Oh, I couldn't do that." Um, I wrote sketch comedy for a bunch of years
Yeah.
and performed and stuff, and I always had collaborative writing experiences. When I was on All That the last season, Mark Saul and I wrote a bunch of sketches when we were like teenagers and showed them to the writing staff, and they were really open and cool about it. And we got a couple of our sketches on the air, and we got real writing credit. And we were in the writer's room like the last 3 or 4 episodes of the last season, like doing double work,
It's
like
fun. It's fun to do that.
going to
Yeah.
school and
Yeah.
also shooting and also being in the writer's room and like, punching up jokes and learning how to, they gave us the opportunity to really like, this is what you want to do, go do it. And Mark Saul did. He was writing on Grey's Anatomy like right after college.
Good for him. That's to get in a room like that is special. I've
Yeah.
over the last 3 years, I've been doing stand up, and when you write a joke, the good part about it is I'm around a lot of stand up comedians, and we're friends, and we'll be sitting in the car, and he goes, "Hey, you know what'd be good? Punch that joke up with this, or pull that back with this." And I love writing with other stand ups, and we're going, "Oh, it'd be good. That scene right there. This is when you do it." And
Mhm.
I think most stand ups, a lot of people are pretty selfish, and they want that. They want to be on stage 24/7. But I find out a lot of stand ups, we love being around each other. We love just
Well,
sitting there
you get the
laughing with each
most
other. Yeah.
laughs. You get the most
Yeah.
laughs if you're hanging out with your comedian friends,
Oh,
like you just if that's what you're chasing, then of course. And I mean, that's how I grew up, not even just around comedians, but my friends in general and my family. We're all kind of ball busters and wanting to one up one another. And in a way, when you're doing punch ups, like if you're asking for it, at least like you're asking for constructive criticism on how to like make something better or funnier, but you realize that your whole life have you been, you know, just telling jokes with your friends that like you would say something and then that person would take what you said and add to it and you just keep jumping. So you're just in real life doing that,
it's
and
it's a lot of fun.
trying to make things fun. Yeah, it's great. Well, and with comedy and stuff and being someone who cares about it and has been in it for so long, these books, both First Day Prophecy and Road to Rewind, have a lot of funny parts in them, and on purpose because I really wanted to make sure that I could bring that. But as you know, sometimes it's hard to just write something out and read it a couple times and be like, "Oh no, that's going to be funny." No, no, that'll
You
read
hope.
funny.
You hope.
You don't have any
Yeah.
opportunity to shop it or like work it out, and so you just kind of like left with it.
Did
At
it
least you
work?
read
I
it,
mean,
you read it a lot of times, so you can for yourself you can be like, oh, okay, no, this will be funny, but you don't get to.
no.
The only beats you get to do are when I do things, when you write things in threes, where
Yeah.
you can be like this, and this, and
Yes.
like this is leading to this one, and this is leading to your, your big punchline.
It's
Um,
funny, when in comic books or to write a joke in a comic book
oh yeah.
is impossible, and I get away with it. And people are going, "Dude, that was so funny." And I'm going, "So you?" And I'll go to that area in the comic book. Is this what you thought? I'm so hard
You're
headed. Did it work?
just
Did it work?
confirming.
Yeah, I'll sign this. I'll sign this page of the book because I'll sign it here and there, just that you acknowledge that was a good joke. Uh, but it's a good life. Danny, I can't thank you enough for giving me the time. Coming back full circle. 3 years later to be able to do this interview is just ridiculously fun, and I really wish you the best on this book.
Oh, thanks. I wish you the best. So look, I want to come back for your 500th episode. Okay,
You got it.
we'll call it then. All right. Well, I'll see you for the 500th episode.
I appreciate it, Dan.
Take care. Thanks.